Vi har en stor horde der. En stor horde der. Lite ting til budløs der. Mye til dverger der. Lite til dverger der. Mye til budløs der. Så det blir spennende å se om det blir noe store matcher i kampen.
This is a 9th Age battle report. The objective is called
Secure targets.
Secure targets, and we've chosen the targets on each side where the dwarves are heavy on that side, and on this side the Sylvan elves are heavy. So we'll see whether they meet or not. The dwarves have a marching banner, so they can march 12, a movement banner.
Yeah, a movement banner to march 12, and also they have on the BSB a vanguard banner on the big horde of dwarf warriors.
So both of these units have vanguarded forwards to capture their objective, to secure their target against the Wildwood Riders with paired weapons. Now the dwarves placed 2 units before, so they'll have 2+ to who goes first, or who chooses to go first. So it's dwarves versus Sylvan elves. The Wildwood Riders move forwards to give these dwarf warriors an easy charge, if they'll take it.
They probably will.
The remaining Sylvan Riders, cavalry, hold 15 inches back, or hold quite a bit back from the gyrocopters, the bombers. And on the other side, the thicket beasts flee away from the large hordes. They hide behind the mountain from the horde, and the slayers have a long charge.
Yeah. They actually need a 10 on the dice with Swift Ride, so it's a little bit above average in this case.
But they may well try it.
Yes, they may.
It's dwarf, turn 1 next. The Sylvan elves get up the oaken throne. This is a masterclass in using dwarf bombers. He's trying to place them so that they'll do as well as possible if they get charged, and try to uphold the whole Sylvan elf army. 2 copters and a 10 strong dwarf unit and an unbreakable dwarf are trying to hold up the whole Sylvan elf army. The copter swooped over the Wildwood Riders. And this copter is trying to avoid being charged by the Dryads. And the General and Blade Lord and Blade Dancers. He doesn't mind the Glade Riders too much. They did not charge on this side. They opted to play safe and advance steadily against the thicket beasts. So the battlefield is spread very thinly, and each army is dominating their side. It should be an advantage for the Sylvan elves, but the dwarf unit has extra movement, and it holds its objective on its side. The dwarf blocks move up to the thicket beasts, and a Rune of Shattering kills all 5 Wild Riders, and that's from the Anvil, which doesn't need line of sight and can reach over half the battle. That was their doom. The copter bomber shot away the last 2 Blade Riders, and that's it. 2 units of 5 cavalry were lost in the first dwarf round. They're very effective with their shooting and magic. The thicket beasts march full speed away from the enemy. The blade dancers move up for a flank charge and drop out their forest. And the other hordes come up. 2 units of wild huntsmen charged these dwarf warriors, destroyed them as they were in defensive position behind the wall. 1 unit fled out of the battle, the other overran into the
Vengeance Seeker.
The Vengeance Seeker is now in combat with 4 Wildwood Riders. Now it's Dwarf, turn 2.
Wow.
Turn 3.
Turn 2. You started.
That's right, turn 2. Dwarf, turn 2. After the Sylvan elves have finished their turn 2. The dwarfs charge the thicket beasts and move up through the dangerous forest. The copters come up and none of the miners ambushing come in. One of the slayers was lost and later found hanging by a branch in the dangerous forests. Dank and dark, no place for a dwarf. And they knew it. Sad thing. The copter bomber flies over the blade dancers and drops his bomb, but I think it's caught in the flames itself. It lost the ability to bomb and only did 1 wound, killing 1 blade dancer in a huge explosion. The thicket beasts lose together 8 wounds, so there's 1 broken down piece of sticks which is running away with 1 wound. The horde of dwarves reforms to face the elven general and the BSB and this horde of dryads. The copter runs away. A couple of wounds are taking off the blade dancers from spells and the copter. And the Vengeance Seeker takes 2 wounds but survives.
And doesn't manage to take any wounds from the Wild Riders.
No. He swung below the horse's legs. On Sylvan elves turn 3, the thicket beast rallies with 1 wound. The Glade Riders charge the bomber copter, who's out of bombs. They win the combat, but it doesn't flee because it's within the general and BSB. The blade dancers hold the flank of the dwarves in case they're needed. The dryads stand their ground pretty solidly. These move up, the Kestrel Knights. The Wildwood Riders here lose 3 riders but kill the Vengeance Seeker with 1 rider remaining. And now it's Dwarf, turn 3. The reform of the unit of Vengeance Seekers after they kill the thicket beast they charge into has to be done correctly, with proper instruments. The bomber copter still stands, no wounds, but on the other side of the battlefield the miners come in, and together with the copter they shoot down together 6 Wildwood Riders and decimate them. Now Sylvan Elf, turn 4. On turn 4, Sylvan Elves, the blade dancers charged into the horde in their flank and killed 5 dwarfs, losing 1 blade dancer in return. The dwarfs were steadfast and reformed to face them. The Kestrel Knights and Glade Guards killed the copter and overran into it. closing in on the war machines, but the Vengeance Seekers are ready here to block up the great unit, the Horde of Dryads, which have a lot of boosts on them. Scrying and Guiding Light and 2 Oaken Thrones. But on the other side of the battlefield, the miners are looking to secure the objective with no resistance. Dwarf, turn 4. The Blade Lord BSB and the Forest Guardian General were killed outright in fight with the Dwarf Horde, and 1 Blade Dancer fell. They fled in an auto break and were caught by the dwarves. The dwarves overran into the Dryads. So on Sylvan Elf turn 5 there will be a large battle. The Vengeance Seekers are now blocked from entering the battle with anyone but Gotrek. The character can charge out. Sylvan Elf turn 5. The Dryads lost about 11 members. The Dwarfs only lost 3, but they're in the forest, so the Dryads were steadfast and made their leadership. One of the Dryad matriarchs fell, and it's Dwarf turn 5. The Kestrel Knights did 4 wounds to the magical altar. It has 1 wound left. They've chaffed up this dwarf unit with Glade Riders, so they cannot disturb the Kestrel Knights devouring the altar. The Kestrel Knights kill the altar, which has given more magic to the dwarfs than the elves have gotten through themselves, and they reform to face the central combat and hope to help out the last turn. The Dryads still stand, but they lose 1 more Dryad Matriarch. The last one is in a challenge with 3 wounds remaining against the Dwarf King. These miners are scoring and are looking to take the objective. They have just the reach to be able to get it. The other objective seems to be out of reach of both. For now, the Dwarven warriors here might be able to do something if they win this turn, their combat. So now it's Sylvan Elf's charge. The Kestrel Knights have the initiative. On Sylvan Elf turn 6, the Kestrel Knights get in on a 10 charge after charging the copter which fled. They got in and did 5 wounds or something to the dwarves. And the other Dryads killed Gotrek, but the Dwarven King killed the last Dryad Matriarch and did multiple wounds, so he did 5 wounds to the Matriarch, stomping the bark and the sticks and the scarred bark into the ground. The dwarves won the combat by 2. The Kestrel Knights fled, but the Dryads are still stubborn because they have a rank and the dwarves are in the forest. This combat still stands with 3 Glade Riders and 7 Dwarven warriors. The last turn, Dwarf turn 6. In the central combat, the dwarves still stand in the forest and they kill as many Dryads as the Dryads kill dwarves. The Dryads are steadfast and manage 1 more leadership 8, so they still stand at the end of the battle fighting for the forest. But the Sylvan Elves are decimated down to only the Glade Guards who killed the warriors and chased them down. And these Kestrels fled. The dwarves hold the objective on the other side and have a substantially larger army remaining. So the dwarves won in the domain of the forest and ranged over a large battlefield today to achieve a very difficult victory. Any last comments?
Nah, it was a great game, I would say. A
Yeah.
lot of movement, a lot of tactical play. But in the end, I rolled the dice's best, I guess.
Certainly, that's indeed it.